Hey guys, Ruckus IIV here. I just wanted to preface this before we start this podcast. It's a little different, but I wanted to at least let you guys know that most of these podcasts are recorded early, like a couple weeks, sometimes before we upload them. We try to upload them every 2 weeks, and this particular topic was about September 11th, but it was something that we did not plan. It just kind of came into conversation. And when it did, it was so impactful that we just had to talk about it, and it just kind of came out. So at least you guys get an idea. So you don't. I just didn't want to create any confusion for you guys, and now you know what was going on when you get to that part of this podcast. Aside from that, I just want to say thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Ruckus IIV and Friends. This is Ruckus IIV.
Hi.
Poetic Princess.
Hello.
I am Jessica. This is GazzyB.
Salutations.
Today we're going to jump right on into our topics. I believe myself and Tanisha have one. And do you want to start or do you want me to go?
You can go first. That's
Okay,
fine.
we can do that. So I was in the shower and I was wondering to myself, I started to think, do you guys have shower routines?
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd
totally.
say so.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if I do things differently, it throws
It feels
me off.
awkward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you always have the same shower routine? I'm going to add to this question because I already think I know where this is going.
Yes, I have. But,
Okay,
but there was a time when I used to brush my teeth in the shower too, but I don't do that anymore.
no, I can't do that.
I've done that before.
But mine has.
If I was in a rush, like that's the best time to do it. Just get everything
yeah.
all together.
Okay, so what's everybody's routine?
So for me, I work from the head down.
Yep.
From top down?
I wash my hair first.
Okay.
My face. Then
And then go from there.
yeah.
Okay, all the way down to
And
the
see,
feet.
for me, and being a female, you have to shampoo the hair, wash the face, wash behind the ears and all that stuff, rinse that out,
Yeah.
then put in conditioner, and then shower everywhere else.
Oh, see, you know what else I do? Because you just mentioned that. So when I wash my hair, put the conditioner in. But when I put the conditioner in, I have a brush in there, and I brush the conditioner in my hair, and then I brush it. It's weird.
Now, I got a random
No, I
question.
used to brush my hair in the shower too.
I got a random question. Do you put conditioner in your beard?
I have a separate conditioner for beard.
Okay, I was curious about that. I didn't know if it's hard for me to grow facial hair. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if dudes like actually.
Oh, there's beard shampoos and conditioners.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it help hair grow?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It makes it nice and
I'm
shiny.
going to start massaging my face with this stuff.
That's gonna be in the shower.
Come on, grow already. There's only like one side growing.
Yeah.
Mind over matter.
Yeah. I have to say, same here, head to toe. I always follow the same routine. But do you guys ever like try to break up the routine just to break it up? Like, does it get monotonous?
I do my face last.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I do my face last.
I can't do my face last.
I know some people, they're like, I cannot contaminate other parts of
Yeah,
their body.
yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, I can't.
Once I've touched that, I'm not touching that. Like, it's already, I've already passed that threshold.
Like, see, for me, I self-diagnose myself with OCD, and people say, oh, everybody has OCD.
Oh,
or
no,
no,
you do.
I have
Super
legit,
OCD?
like to the point where like I'm like the counting person. Like,
Yeah, he used to,
so I
like-
legit think I have OCD. But
Like when
I
he
do
left, like
a
when
little
he
bit.
would leave like the house, like when we had our own apartment, he would lock the door and then he would have to touch it 3 times
yeah.
to make sure.
Really?
Yeah,
that it was
it's like a
locked.
count, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it's
Yeah,
like a
he
hot,
was-
cold
yeah,
thing. In my mind, it's weird.
You have
Yeah.
to finish on an even number.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got you.
Well, not so much an even number,
No?
but
Okay.
it just has like it's in 3s. Everything for me is 3s.
Okay.
But like that's why I was kind of saying like with the shower thing, like I try to break up the routine, but
Yeah.
when I try to do that, I get weird. I feel like something's gonna happen.
like
I have
anxious.
to start over from the
Panic.
top and just do it all over.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I have to do it in order.
Really?
So
So you actually incapacitate yourself from OCD-ness sometimes.
I think so. Like even leaving the house, like I'll be dressed and everything,
That's the
but
right
I'm
word.
like checking. All the doors have to be closed. I can't leave the house with all the doors cracked open. Everything has to be closed. I check to make sure the stove is off. and I do my counting thing
That's
with the
not
doorknobs.
really too bad of a thing. I
No.
think a lot of people do
But
stuff
the
like
counting
that.
thing is where, for me, it's like, I don't know why I have to like touch the doorknob like 3 times. Like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's like in my mind, that's how it's going. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
It's weird. Yeah, so
No, everybody's got something.
Yeah,
You know, some are
everybody
more
has
extreme
something.
than others.
Yeah.
But
That's just a quirk to me. It's
yeah, that's not too
not a-
OCD. That's kind of a quirk more than anything, in my opinion, too. I don't see that. OCD is when you're like, you cannot function at all because something's off. Like,
well,
if
in
like,
a way, I feel like I can't, because if something,
If he doesn't do that, then the whole rest of the day.
yeah, like
okay, that is pretty OCD. Then.
even when I put on deodorant, I have to go like put on 3 things on each side. It's like 3 strokes on each side.
Okay.
It's
I
kinda-
count each time, each side.
And it's
Yeah.
like if
I never
I
do.
don't, I have to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, so it's
I used to be somewhat OCD, well, pretty OCD actually. I used to do the exact same thing. On purpose, I would do the opposite of everything on purpose constantly, and I hated it, but I did it because I got to the point where I was not functioning properly because I was always having to rely on that. And I always hated the idea that what would happen if I didn't have the option to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So I changed it up on purpose. And I still do it to this day, just to break my habits of OCD things, because if I get locked into it, it's hard to get out of it. You know what I mean? Because I can be very habitual when it comes to a lot of different stuff, too. So I can understand where you're coming from, but I know it's got to be tough to try to break it also.
yeah, it's yeah.
He tries to break other people's too.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny?
Sharing a
It's-
space with you, I've learned that.
Yeah. I try to break other habits around me, because what happens then, like if there's other people that have OCD tendencies, but they're bringing it onto someone else, what then happens is that it becomes a control thing. And then they like, it becomes an uncomfortable thing for both parties, because then what happens is one person's upset because the other person's not doing what they want. And I've been on the other end of that. I was the OCD person where I was getting mad at the person I lived with because they weren't doing the things that I wanted a certain way. I wanted things arranged a certain way. I wanted things to be a certain whatever. But that person, I had to learn to respect that person, because they're not me. They're somebody else, and I can't keep trying to control them with the environment that we're sharing. So I had to learn to accept their quirks and differences. And you know what's funny is I do I do try to break other people's OCD habits around me, because I don't like to be controlled by somebody else. But at the same time, I learned that from my friend who did that to me, because I was on the other end of that and I hated it. We got into fights over it. But I realized that he was doing it to teach me that I needed to respect him, because I wasn't respecting his differences, and that I couldn't control him. And he was letting me know that I couldn't control him, you know? And so because of that, you know, it was like, oh, like it was so, like it was, I realized later on though, it was a respect thing. You know, I had to learn to respect other people. And because I was so used to having things my way, having somebody in my space, it was no longer my space. It was our space. And I had to learn to share that space with that person and compromise together. And he also had to do the same thing too, but you know, we balanced out over time. It just takes time, especially when you have somebody who was like me at that time. Like, it just had to be this way, you know, like this is the way it is. But somebody else is there now, so it's, you know, it's only fair to not be so controlling of another human being, because that person's not going to care about half the stuff that I care about, and I had to learn to not take that personally, because it's not fair to them. You know. Anyway, I can keep going on that.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And he steps down from his soapbox.
I know.
I
I
know.
drive the kids crazy with it.
Do you?
Yeah, especially the bathroom, because to me that's a common area for people. When they come over, they use our bathroom. So I'm like, close the shower curtain when you're done. Pick your clothes up off the floor. Wipe the counter down. Get the water off the floor.
That's
And
that.
then
Okay, but that kind of stuff is that's more of a hygienic like issue. Like that's some of that stuff is actually reasonable to try to, you know. You're talking kids though.
I know, and I always
You leave it
get
to kids, they're gonna do nothing. They're just gonna throw stuff around and destroy everything, and then just leave it that way.
Yeah.
So to kind of, that's why they need parents. I mean, you can't just let them do whatever. You know, I mean, as much as I wish, like when I was a kid, I could just do whatever. I still needed somebody to say, hey, you know, pick that off the floor.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you put that away. Don't leave the fridge open. You know, I'm not the one paying the bills. You know?
Well, we have a fridge that dings at you now, so if the kids don't close it, we know it's not closed. Go close it.
Yeah. I think kids is a little different. It's just when you have like two grown adults and you have like one person trying to control the other one because of their OCD habits. Even in a relationship, that's like a bad thing because you can really cause a lot of tension and frustration, and a lack of respect happens on both sides. And there has to be a compromise. You have to work together.
You still do kind of have a little bit of OCD.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, I'm constantly fighting it. Like, I always try to work against it because it's very easy for a lot of people to do it, I think, too. I don't think I'm the only one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, I do have it. Oh, I have it. Yeah, I do. And it's easy to follow that routine. So, like, if somebody else tries to break my OCD, I kind of respect it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I said, sharing space with you. I'm sitting at my desk, and it's like I'm surrounded by things. And I look over at his desk, and there's nothing.
Oh, yeah. I know. You know what's funny?
Honestly, I like it. It's there. It's clear. It's
something
open.
Different. Yeah.
I'm like, man.
Well, it's funny that you say the shared space thing and the differences on each side. Like my friend that I used to live with, who also was the person I was talking about earlier in another podcast, Odin. So he and I were complete opposites. Oh. Well, we'll just like extend for like a second there. He and I He and I shared same space, but he was a simple person, had nothing at all. And he had like these quirky things that he would do all the time that I learned to actually adapt myself. And I started to pick it up because I was more like clustery. I had more stuff. I liked to have all these things to express my my personality or whatever. But then I learned like the more simple things were, the way he had it, I kind of started to appreciate that. And I started to kind of
simplicity, yeah.
Yeah, and I started to feel more free, not actually having all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I kind of know what you mean. Like it's weird because now I'm on the other side where he's at. You know? Yeah.
And I'm noticing it more, and how like cleaning through my room and stuff. It's like, man, I need to get rid of this stuff. Like the whole backpack issue.
Yeah.
I had to have this backpack.
Yeah.
Didn't need it, but I had to have it.
Yeah.
I need to break myself of that so I can get rid of some clutter.
Yeah. No, but you're aware of what you want to change. Mm-hmm. Some people are just not aware. They get so piled up with all this stuff.
Savannah.
I think what's going to be interesting, like when we get a bigger place, how different it's going to be. Because like I feel like we have so much stuff right now, but once we spread out, it's going to be like we don't really have anything.
You would think that, but it'd still be there.
No, like seriously.
Well, you're like,
oh, really?
Well, it's like you're confined to
so
much
that's true. You guys
right
are,
yeah.
That's
so
true.
once we get like a bigger place, it's going to be like,
they have nothing.
yeah, we're going to have like a lonely
You're
apartment.
going to be like sad.
yeah.
We're like, spread the stuff out so let's fill it in.
Do you want to jump on your topic?
Yeah. Okay, I got a topic from one of my friends, Maria, and she said, if you could go back in history and change one event, what would you change and why?
She has them deep questions.
Okay,
right?
wait. If I could go back to any event in my life, what would I change and why?
In history.
Oh,
so not just my life.
Not just your life.
Just the history of the planet.
But it could be your life.
The history of the planet.
But it could be the history of the planet.
What would I change?
What would you change and why?
This reminds me of that Stephen King novel, 1963.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you guys read that book?
I don't think I've even heard of it.
So it's a book about.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing book, and they did a show on Hulu.
Watch it
with
James Franco.
So pushy.
Watch it now, Chad. Watch it now.
I'm gonna be like, I need to get this now. I'm gonna be on a plane soon. I'm gonna be going to Philly in like, I don't know, a few hours, and I need to have this book. Like
That's
now.
a really good book.
Get it together.
You will not put it down. I guarantee you. Because what it is, it's this English teacher who knows he's a friend of this grocery store owner who's dying.
Diner,
who's dying, and the diner, the guy's telling him, to go into the back of the store, and he wants him to finish something for him because he's gonna pass.
Yeah.
So in the back of the store, it's like
a portal.
It's a portal that takes you back into time, and it takes you back to 1963 a few days before the assassination of John
About
F. Kennedy.
a couple months.
So it takes you to a specific time.
Specific time.
Every time you go. Is it every time?
Every time you go.
Yeah, every time you go, it's the same time.
It's always the same time. But it takes you back a few months before the assassination of John F. Kennedy. He wants him to prevent the assassination because that's what he's been trying to do, and that's what kind of aged his thing. So it kind of has its because
you can stay there and you age while you're there is what it is. So the guy kept going back and back and back. So like one time he saw him, he was like 50, and then the next time he saw him, he looked like he was like 80.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would be your what would be your history thing that you would like? Where in history would you change?
I like for that situation, he wanted him to change the assassination.
You want to prevent the assassination.
But the thing is, when that happened, it changed everything.
It changes everything, right?
It's a butterfly effect.
So would you change anything in history? And if you did, what would it be?
It would have to be something not very significant, but like that wouldn't cause such a big butterfly effect.
Jessica, do you have one? Like if you could go back in time and change something, you had the power to change it, what would it be in history? Maybe bring...
Personally, yes, but like history-wise, because you got to think everything in history is like led up to this point.
Okay, so
we wouldn't necessarily be sitting here having this conversation if anything would change.
That's a good point. Okay, so
or maybe we would be like on different sides.
So we'll go to that level though in your case. So then if it wasn't a historical related item, then is there something personal that you would be willing to share that you'd want to change in the past?
I would share it with you guys, not on camera, but
okay,
not with.
Okay, so we'll skip that.
Not with the public.
What about you, Poetic Princess? Is there something in history that you would change?
In history, I think it would be interesting if maybe Lincoln didn't die.
So you would try to save Lincoln?
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know.
Poetic Princess, the heroine. She's going to go back in time and save Abraham Lincoln.
I'm not sure what would happen.
A lot.
I know a lot.
A lot would change.
Yeah.
Everything would change.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like it would be like Final Destination. Like I'd save him from, that situation, and he'll walk outside and get hit by a horse or something. You know what I'm saying?
You can never save him. Like it's always gonna. He has to die.
Yeah,
it's a predetermined thing.
He falls over the balcony.
Yeah.
He just gets scared. Like, oh.
I don't know. It's hard because you have to always think that there's always going to be something else that's going to change.
What's kind of interesting? I did ask somebody this that I worked with, and I was like, well, and they're like, well, I would marry who I married at that time. I would choose to marry somebody else, and I was like, well, yeah, if you did that, you wouldn't.
Somebody said that?
Yeah.
Somebody said they would rather marry somebody else than somebody that they're with? I mean, they must not have been happy, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that would change, like, you having kids with this person and all this stuff. And they were like, well, I would have just had different kids. He was like, I would have loved the kids that I had.
That's crazy.
But,
I mean, it's just
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but if you think about it, it's kind of like, remember that movie where the guy kept going back in time and changing just a little bit of stuff? And it had Rachel McAdams in it.
The Time Traveler's Wife.
The Time Traveler's Wife. Yeah. No. It's not even that. It was the other one where he had like the power that his grandfather had. It was some British guy.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Remember?
Yeah.
And like he went back and then his kid was like changed from a girl to a boy.
Yeah. But it's like the butterfly effect. That movie was amazing, by the way. And I feel like that kind of is a perfect example of what could happen if you had the ability to do that. You're going to change something else. Yeah. You don't know what it can be. It could be something for the worse, could be something better, but I don't know. I feel like everything has its place. I don't feel like
it's a hard call for me because I wasn't a huge history buff either.
Yeah. And I was like fascinated with history, but I just respect the timeline. So if it was true, if time travel was possible and being able to affect the past, I don't think I would mess with it. Mm-hmm. I just don't.
I think maybe one thing I would change, and I don't know that it would necessarily. Well, it would change, but the sinking of Titanic.
No, but then you would never have the movie.
Yeah, we never have the movie. This conversation would never happen. Like,
Excuse you.
one of our
Like, we
this
would never-
I needed
podcast.
that movie.
Yeah, but like almost 2,000 people died.
Listen,
Yeah, but you have to also think that they would have died anyway in a different way, just not at the
Eventually.
same time.
Eventually.
What if they all just died
maybe
the
they
next
would've lived
day?
their
Like,
life.
I don't know. But then their kids, you know what? I read a book about that too. But their kids changed like history, like all of it. I think it was a Supernatural episode actually.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what it was. And like they didn't like Titanic didn't sink, and it was fate. It was that episode with fate. Titanic didn't sink, and then all those kids messed up the timeline for everybody else because they weren't supposed to be there.
Well, that's exactly what would happen if you changed
Yeah,
history.
yeah.
yeah, I think this is.
But just Titanic out of all the
I think
all the
because
things?
I've always had this morbid infatuation with Titanic, and for me it was a very sad story.
But you didn't like the movie.
No, I did love the movie.
Oh.
okay.
She
Let's.
didn't cry.
Let-
That's
okay,
what it
that's
was.
what it
She
was.
didn't cry.
She went out and she said she would change Titanic. Okay, let's say nothing major would change except for the saving whatever or doing whatever. Like, what would you change if you could?
If nothing
really
didn't
bad
affect
was going to
anything.
happen. Yeah.
Okay, that changes everything.
All right, we're gonna go that route real quick.
We're gonna play God here for a second. So if I could change
I have a
anything,
good one then.
there'll be no changes. I think I would probably prevent 9/11 from happening.
Oh,
somehow.
That's a good one,
That's a good one.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was such a sad.
yeah.
Well, that's the end of this show, guys. I think we're all gonna agree on that one.
And like, if you
Jeez.
think about it, like
Yeah.
how, like because you were there for it. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
could look out of your high school, you know,
Yeah.
and see it.
Do you guys remember what happened when you first found out about
Yeah,
that?
I
Yes.
remember the whole thing.
We're going to go that route really quick, guys. What we're talking about is 9/11. It was what, 2001?
2001.
2001.
2001.
17 years
the-
ago already.
The
Wow.
World
Today.
Trade Center got
Today.
hit by a
Today.
plane.
No,
Oh, today's-
August. It's next month.
Oh,
Today's
Today's the
Yeah.
11th. Sorry. Today's
Jeez.
So for
August
the,
11th.
For those of you guys, I'm sure everybody would know about this, but in case you don't, it's when the World Trade Center in New York City got hit by two planes. There was the Twin Towers. They were the two tallest towers in New York City, and they crumbled down, and it was a tragedy. It was one of the biggest tragedies we've experienced in such a long time, and we're gonna go with there really quick. Just out of sheer curiosity, what was it that you like when you found out about it? How did you find out about it?
So I was living in New York still at the time. I was in high school. I was 2001. That was my junior year, and I remember
such a baby.
my friend, one of my guys in my class, Richard. I walked in. Now he was like a class clown at the time.
Yeah.
And he had walked into class, and he was like, "Oh, a plane just hit one of the Twin Towers," and we were like, "It's probably like a small little baby plane."
Where were you?
I was in Queens.
You were in Queens?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so at first we didn't pay no mind to it because we're like, yeah, first of all, he's probably joking about it.
Yeah.
And if it did happen, it's probably a small little passenger plane, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember one of the girls, from that class, that was my CAD class. I went to my biology class. And when I got inside that classroom, one of the girls came in and crying her eyes out, like bawling. And then I overheard my science teacher talking to another teacher saying they were basically instructed not to talk to us about it because they didn't know any details yet, and they didn't want to get anybody worked up. So they were instructed not to talk about it, but word travels fast.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody started talking about it. So once people started finding out, people were leaving the classroom to find out, because a lot of people had family members or knew people in those buildings. The one girl who came and crying, her uncle and her aunt were in the building. Another friend of mine whose younger brother lost his parents, his aunt, uncle, and some couple of cousins. They were all there, I guess, at the same time. Like, not because it wasn't just the Twin Towers that came down. It was also the other buildings surrounding it you had to think about also. So they were all in that same area when the buildings came down, I guess. Yeah, and then I remember walking out of school that day, and you can see the ash. I was in Queens, and that's how much ash it was, because it spread through right over by my high school. I just remember seeing the ash like fall down. It was. I feel like that day happened yesterday. I'll never ever forget it.
Yeah. What about you, Jessica?
I was working.
Okay.
And I didn't have a TV or anything. I was working in a service department for a car dealership, and one of the service tech guy's wife called looking for him, and she's like, "Did you hear what happened?" And I'm like, "No, because I don't have a TV sitting here, so I don't know."
This is in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she explained what had happened. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." Mm-hmm. And then, of course, by the time I got off of work, because I think I was getting off at 3 at the time, so I got home and it was just plastered everywhere, all over TV. Mm-hmm. That's why if anybody is watching this that does not know about it, I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking if you had anybody who was younger that didn't
you might
experience
not
it,
But
experience
I'm sure in high school or in school now, they're learning this as part of their
Sure.
history.
Yeah. But at least they're getting an idea what what our
What we
reactions was.
experienced,
Yeah.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I mean, it's obviously a terrible tragedy, but I didn't know anybody that was there or in the buildings or anything like that, so I can't feel the way people around you and yourself feel being there and knowing people in it.
Yeah.
I had a cousin that was actually supposed to be in the, because he's a computer programmer, and he was supposed to be in the building 7, one of those buildings there. And the day before, they told him not to come in. I guess they didn't need him there at that office. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's
Somebody's looking out for him.
Yeah.
yeah. What about you, Poetic Princess?
It was my freshman year of college, and it was, I think I just moved to San Diego in August.
Okay.
So it was probably
Freshman
like,
year in college? So I was a senior.
you're a
then.
senior. Yeah.
You moved to San Diego from where?
From Rialto. And, so it's about 2 hours away.
Okay.
But I remember going, me and my roommate had the same class, and I remember waking up, going to the shower, and everything was cool at that time. And then so I got out of the shower, and I was walking down the hall, and it was a pretty long hall because it was a woman's dormitory. Mm-hmm. All of the doors were open, which never happened, and everybody was watching the TV, and I was like, that's really weird. So I finally got down to my dorm, and then my roommate was crying, and she was trying to call her mom, and you couldn't get through. Everything was shut down. You couldn't get through. And they kept replaying it over and over.
Yeah.
That's what I said. It was
Yeah, I didn't even get to
everywhere.
see any of that until I got home that day.
Yeah, I watched it.
repeat.
Like
You were
I
watching a
watched,
movie.
I watched the
yeah.
second plane hit. That's the time that it
Yeah.
was in the morning, and
wow.
yeah, it was really. And
How did you react to it when you saw it?
I was scared. I think especially because
Did
it was my
think,
freshman year. It was my first time away from home.
Did you think it was real when you first saw it?
The first time I saw it, I didn't think it was real. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a movie. But since everybody was watching it, I was
Yeah.
like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then, I was kind of scared, and I was trying to call my parents, couldn't get through. Nobody can get through. And she was trying to call her parents. And since we were in San Diego, where it's like the Marines are there, the Navy, the Air Force, all of that, they shut down the whole city.
Oh, wow.
So you couldn't leave your dormitory. You had to stay there.
Wow.
Except for if you needed to go get food. And because they didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was scary.
Yeah. It was.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I when I got home that day, that was the first time I actually saw footage, because we didn't have any TVs in the school showing us what was going on. So it wasn't until I got home that day and I saw it, I was just like, it's surreal. Like, you hear about it, but then when you see it, it's like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, man.
Well, when I first became exposed to what happened, I felt like, I'll start with, I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was working at Papa John's and Steak and Shake, and I was doing management for both, or training for one management, doing whatever. And so I was like constantly tired. And to preface it with that, the reason why I preface it with that is because I was like, I wouldn't get off. I would work at one store, open it up, and do that shift, go to the next store, and work there till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would pretty much sleep all day, just to if I didn't have to pick up the shifts in the morning for the next then the other store. So I would sleep all day, and I was sleeping that day, and I remember getting up, I think around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think it was around 3 o'clock, something like that. And I saw that I had a message on the cordless phone that we had in the house, in the apartment. So I check it, and it's my buddy that I was living with, his dad, who left a message. And he's like, hey, just looking to see if, just looking to see if my son's home or whatever yet. Like, I forgot exactly what he said there, but I know that my friend was at work. And he's like, Chad, I don't know if you know what's going on, but if you get a chance, go ahead and turn on the television and see what's going on. And I'm thinking, okay, that is so weird, because his dad never really communicated with me like that before. Right. We really don't have a connection, not like that. So we didn't have cable, so I went and scrambled around the house to try to get a cable to connect to the TV and actually, get something going to where I could watch it. It's not like today where you could just pull up your phone and boom, you can just pop it up and you're good. No, then you had to do that. So I finally got the TV going, and I'm flipping through channels, and I'm seeing the Twin Towers like burning. And I'm like, dude, the special effects on this movie are intense. Like, this looks so real. Sorry. God bless you. I'm thinking, this looks so real. Like, this is crazy looking. And I'm thinking, this is a movie. I did not think this was the real thing. So I'm thinking, wow, that is like crazy looking, Like, how did they do that? And then I'm seeing, flipping through channels, like, wait, they don't play the same movie on multiple channels like this at the same time.
And it was literally the same scene, hours and hours and hours.
So I'm like, this is like the real thing. I didn't know how to react to it. I didn't like, no emotions, my brain couldn't process that this really is happening. And it took me a while to finally let it sink in, and just seeing the news reports and all the scrambling, and then to find, and mind you, I'm catching this late. I'm just now catching it. It's 3:00. Everybody else has been going through this for a while, and nobody else has even tried to contact me, let me know. Just the dad who left a message for me, to check. And had he not, I would have, God knows when I would have found out about it later on. But yeah, it was just the feelings that I had later throughout the night. It was just kind of like, that really happened. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what else. To this day, the fact that it happened, and I think it angers me, the idea that somebody out there really plotted that and made that happen and actually took pride in that. That just, But yeah. That was a really tragic day, and to this day, man, for especially our generation,
it changed a lot of things, even right down to the TSA. It's just like little things like
changed.
that.
Yeah, you used to be able to just get on the plane with anything.
Yeah, you used to be able to go to the gates and watch people leave.
Yeah, watch people leave.
The plane's
That's true.
off.
Yeah.
Yep. No, can't
even take
anymore.
a bottle of lotion on the plane anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
And do you notice that the farther out it gets, because we're coming up on 20 years
Mm-hmm.
ago that this happened. The first, 5-6 years, every year, the anniversary, they did this big spectacle and, this big remembrance. But now every year it's like dying off.
Yeah.
They're not doing it so much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, it's interesting we're having this conversation. Two questions. Well, not questions. One question I have is, how do you guys feel about the Freedom Tower? Do you think they should have just went and built the Twin Towers again?
No, I like the Freedom Tower.
You like it better?
I like what they did because I love the Freedom Tower because, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's taller than the Twin Towers. Yeah. It's supposed to be taller. And I like what they did, the memorial that they did for the Twin Towers.
It's so nice. We went this year, and it's
like
breathtaking.
Yeah, it really humbles. Like it really,
it makes you feel
like, because they have all the names.
Do they let you film and do whatever you want there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I might be. I'm flying out to Philly tonight, but we may be going to New York.
Oh yeah.
So
you can film.
if we see, and we're probably gonna go see the memorial. So I'm gonna try to vlog about the memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it on
and
my
I'll probably
Instagram.
use some of this podcast for it.
It's
too.
like when you get there, because what they did, the memorial, it's actually in the shape of the two buildings. So like they have in the same location where the buildings were.
Okay.
So they're huge, and they have a list of all the names.
It's
of
like the
everybody.
base of the building.
The base of the
isn't
building, basically, yeah, and it has like a water fountain thing. Like
It has water going down in it.
Infinity pool kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's just a real. It
does it hit you when you get
Yeah.
It hits
Yeah.
you. I wasn't expecting to feel the way I did.
I'm
when
tearing
I
up
went there.
just hearing it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Like,
probably
I
gonna
have-
cry when I get there.
Yeah, I
no
had
lie.
it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A video of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, man, like I didn't expect to feel that because that was my first time in going back there since that all happened. Well, let me take that back. That's my first time going to that site since 9/11.
Yeah.
So I haven't, because I was lucky enough to actually be in the Twin Towers a couple times in my life. So I've been there a few times. So it was my first time going back since they've been gone.
Yeah.
And man, because once everything happened, it was years before they opened up that area.
Yeah.
But man,
My first trip to New York, it had already happened. So it was like, I think 2006 when we went. We didn't get to make it down that way because we were only there for a couple days, but all through New York, you could see the fences that were lined with the memorials, and I think I have a few pictures of them because we did do one of the downtown Manhattan bus tours.
Yeah.
So we did get to see a little bit of it then, but yeah, we didn't get to go over there.
It's definitely a humbling experience. To stand there.
A lot of people lost their lives there.
Yeah. And to see the names, like when you look at the names, and there's so many of them. It kind of makes it
tangible. Like it's something that you can like be like, okay, this is real. Like
yeah, like
well, that was like the Vietnam Wall.
Yeah, it is
in
like
DC.
That. Yeah.
You just walk and it's like
all those people.
It just goes on. It's sad.
Well, on that note, I mean, I know this. It's sometimes it's okay to jump on a serious topic. I mean, it's we're friends amongst each other, and we care about life, we care about people, and
I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No. I'll agree with that. Some people.
Well, you got to be honest,
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now. No, there's obviously people I don't like, and those are the people who plotted that whole thing. I definitely don't like those people. And I say those people as in the people who cause nothing but death and destruction amongst other people.
And think it's okay.
And then validate it. No, I don't like those people.
But you know what? This is us remembering.
Exactly. And
a month from today will be the anniversary. So
exactly. It's weird how we got into this, but it's you can see if you're listening to this now, you can hear that this is something that still resonates with us. And like you said, it was 20 years ago?
Almost 20 years ago. It'll be 18 years this year, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I will say this. We'll wrap it up with the idea of you, the audience, whoever's listening. Where were you when this happened? This is a common question that you always hear across, anything that's related to this topic, but we always like to know what you were going through as well. What did you feel, or how did you react to it when it happened? And how are you feeling about it now? How does it make you feel now? Is it something that you talk about amongst family every year when they talk about it? Is it something that still resonates with you? We would love to know what your comments and your opinions are about this entire topic. And is there anything else that you guys want to Okay, so on that note, this is Ruckus IIV and Friends. I'm Ruckus IIV. This is Poetic Princess,
Hello.
Jessica,
See ya.
and GazzyB. Love, peace, chicken grease, guys.
Hello, goodbye.